ESPN senior NFL insider Adam Schefter. Adam, what do we know about DK Metcalf?
Well, this just in, Scott. The NFL has suspended DK Metcalf for 2 games for conduct detrimental to the NFL for initiating a confrontation with a fan in the stands yesterday. NFL policy specifically states that players may not enter the stands or otherwise confront fans at any time on game day. And if a player makes unnecessary physical contact with a fan in any way, that constitutes unsportsmanlike conduct or presents crowd control issues and or risk of injury, he will be held accountable. And the NFL did hold DK Metcalf accountable, suspending him for 2 games without pay. That's $277,000 per game. That's over $555,000 in fines. He plans to appeal the suspension, but there is the real possibility that he has played his last regular season down and cannot join the team again until Monday, January 5th, ahead of the wild card game that weekend.
Adam, thank you very much. Much more to come from Adam as we continue. Pittsburgh at Cleveland and then home for Baltimore. If they were to win the Cleveland game, that would make the Baltimore game moot. It would mean that they are in the playoffs. Fellas, I think we all understand that there are things fans ought not say. And I think you all would know better than I what line cannot be crossed as a player. RC, just your reaction to this.
I think the first thing is DK Metcalf has to have a higher level of emotional intelligence. The one thing we have in this world is our name. And we can't let someone who doesn't even deserve our energy push us to a point where we stain that. DK Metcalf has worked his entire life to be in this position. He's worked his entire life to represent his family with what he does on the field and the way that he behaves in the community. And that wasn't representative of what he wants to be. Now, I get it. There are some things that people say that they should be punched in the mouth for. And you know that they wouldn't say them if they felt like they couldn't be protected, but they are. And you shouldn't allow someone who, if DK Metcalf or the reports are true, someone who has chased you around and done this to you before, that person is looking to get a rise out of you. And now you've cost your team, but that person is won. Not only are they making you miss something you've worked your entire life for, but this isn't over. They've already sought a lawyer. They're going to continue to try to prosecute this more within the courts. And for DK Metcalf, now you have to apologize to your team. You have to stand in front of them and say, you guys know that there are certain things that you shouldn't say to another man, but I also can't behave in that manner. I think Coach Tomlin will address it that way, but this is very difficult for DK and for this team to have to deal with now going forward.
Fellas, I'm just curious how you'd echo that.
I mean, listen, I very publicly lost my cool in public last year, right? And people can say all sorts of things, but you're ultimately in control of how you respond. And in this instance, it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. I don't know what was said. Fans, unfortunately, say things all the time that are inappropriate and shouldn't be said. You as a player have to understand that you cannot go that next step and react, especially getting up physical and touching them, right? And I think the league just has to respond that way, right? And especially you're going to find a guy for fighting another player on the field for one game. You're now all of a sudden you're taking it off the field into the stands, so they had to respond in this type of way.
Yeah, look, man, I tell all my kids about the 30-second rule. My grandfather used to tell me all the time, there's a lot of dudes in prison because they had a 30-second moment.
Yeah.
And didn't have a whole life of bad things happening. I think this is one of those situations where DK is probably going to self-reflect and come back to his senses and realize, you know what, I did go a bit too far, even as egregious as potentially what this fan said in the stands. The ultimate part is this, Ryan, and you said it, RC. These fans know they protected. Yeah. They know they heckle. This has been going on for years. This is nothing new. DK Metcalf has to understand that I can't go over there and associate myself with a situation like that. And God forbid the punch lands, because it would have been all kind of ramifications with that part as well. So now you step into, from that 30 seconds, you step into what you mentioned, RC. Now you just lost over $500,000. You got to deal with a prosecution process, because that's coming. This fan got exactly what he
That's
wanted.
the problem.
That's the problem.
And that is the issue that you run into.
And you said it well, just about the energy. I think you don't have to be an athlete to relate to the idea of giving people your energy, but I think that the athlete has far more to lose than most of us.
Yep.
And you're speaking the 30-second rule. I was looking up the quote. There's a Seneca. The quote is, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay."
Yep.
It's what you're saying.
Yes.
I do too, but it's so much easier said than applied in that moment. I'm just interested if I thought it'd be a game, and then I thought, you know what, 2 would be to the end of the regular season. So it doesn't shock me. I'm curious if it shocks you all that it's 2.
I don't think it. Again, if you're going to suspend guys a game for fighting on the field, I do think that there has to be another dynamic between them taking it the next step into the stands.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was the only reason I think.
Yeah, listen.
I wouldn't have been upset with one game.
Yeah, like the player in me wants to say no, right? The player in me wants to say that if a fan is behaving in a certain way and you feel like that's something that has to be checked, you can do it. But that's not real life.
Of course.
Right? That's not the standard you're held to when you get to wear that logo on your helmet or you have that NFL patch on your jersey. And they are going to protect the shield. It's one thing when you see a Jamar Chase spit on a Jalen Ramsey, right? And how disgusting that could be, how disrespectful that could be. But those are 2 players who are 2 men who are the same.
Yeah.
Those fans aren't the same.
Yeah.
Those fans pay to come to this game, and they pay to be able to say stupid things. Now, what the league has to do is say, this is how we're going to safeguard you against that. The same way they do in basketball, there should be a way where you can go talk to somebody and say, this person said such and such. I don't feel comfortable continuing to do my job if they're here.
That's a great point, because I don't think that's talked enough about in NFL locker rooms and in NFL teams.
Yeah.
What is the process and protocol for dealing with a fan that is out of line?
Particularly if
he's that close, he's right there.
Well, it has been reported to the point you made earlier. This is someone who is a serial sort of stalker. I don't know if that's the right word, but this is someone who has clearly tried to instigate on several occasions and now succeeded.
Yeah.
Marcus made a point to me inside that I thought was good, and maybe he said you had to walk over them.
That's the problem.
Right.
That's the problem. You initiated it. Regardless of what we know that the talking and the heckling supposedly is supposed to be the part that initiated it. But we're not talking about we don't know the fan name.
Right.
We're talking about DK Metcalf. And it always is going to end up that way. We got kids that play sports. RC got a son in the NFL right now. Listen, man, as hard as it is, you are going to lose. You are going to lose. Let the people handle that.
Greatest remedy for anger, delay. And if you delay walking over, you don't walk over, then none of this happens. As for we take a look at the playoff picture here. And again, San Francisco has that direct path to the 1 seed if they were to win out. In the hunt, yes, and Detroit still has a path, but it is perilous and it is frankly unlikely in terms of the odds makers. And I'm just interested, guys, and as we cross over the top of the hour, for those of you that are wondering how the show started early, follow the famous Potato Bowl, and here we are.
Yep. They dumped fries on the coach.
Indeed, they did.
Yep.
I'll give me some hot ones, and we'd
celebration.
be in good shape here. But the Detroit Lions, guys, we saw them twice, in Baltimore and in Tampa. Won both those games. That's a good football team.
Yeah.
They might not make the playoffs. In fact, they're likely not to. That's stunning, I think, given who they are, Swag. How do they find themselves in this place?
Misfortune, one. I mean, we know
injuries.
the injuries have been an issue for this football team.
Jason was talking about that.
They get it going, and obviously the offensive line has taken a step back. I'm going to let you get that, big brother. But when you think about the Detroit Lions and you think about the NFL in general, right? And that's why we applaud this guy that's going to play here on this field tonight, and Kyle Shanahan, for dealing with so much attrition and still having this self-position. It's hard to overcome, man. Like, you talking about 2 safeties on this defense that changes games that haven't been available. You talking about up front, you got Aiden back and coming off an injury. You dealing with so many things that don't have anything to do with the actual game. And then you get into the game and you run up against a team that has found seemingly their footing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you physically lose at the line of scrimmage, which is something that I haven't attributed to a Dan Campbell football team, which is the biggest glaring issue for me when it comes to the Lions. We know they got the bells and whistles. We know they got the athletic playmakers, Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield. They weren't going to have 15 yards.
Yeah.
I don't know last time we saw Detroit in that position. So it's a lot of things going on, but I think more importantly, the injury